Hey brother, welcome back. Thanks for being here. I'm making this video in response to, as a follow-up to my previous video about stonewalling. The video, I think, was titled The 3 Reasons Your Wife is Stonewalling You. Why she's pulled away, why she's emotionally shut down, and why she doesn't want to communicate with you. And quite honestly, she doesn't really want to do anything with you. Am I right? So some of the questions that came in are here, and I'm going to make a couple of videos, so be sure to look for that other video. I'll put a link in the description. But the first question was, what actions did I take? How did I turn my relationship around? So in that video, the 3 reasons your wife is stonewalling you, I said a couple of things. One, I talked about what to stop doing, and I talked about what to start doing. Now, some of the guys in the community have replied and said that they've done some of these things, right? That they've stopped doing and they've started doing, and they've been doing it for a while, and they're still kind of wondering when things are going to change. And I'll address that in the next video. But like I said in that previous video, one of the things that you need to stop doing is stop having long, drawn-out conversations with her. And the other thing that you want to start doing is get out of the house, give her some space. Spend some time with other people. Do some activities that light you up. You know, now is a great time to take up a hobby. You know, you could take up photography. You could take up Frisbee golf. You could take up visiting all the coffee shops in your area and grading all the different coffees, whatever your activity is. Just give her some space. Just get out. She doesn't want to talk to you. It doesn't feel very good right now. So, you know, give yourself a little bit of something different, and give her an opportunity to miss you. It may take a while, but you know, journey starts with a single step, so to speak, right? So, but here are some of the things that I did, just to follow up on that. Here are some of the things that I did that were hugely impactful. Now some of this is going to sound self-serving because now I'm a men's coach, but at the time that I was doing this, I was not a men's coach, right? I was just you wondering what the hell's going on and how to fix it. And so I eventually became a men's coach, but when I was in your space, in your place right now, I was not a men's coach. So here are the things that I did that were extremely impactful. I hired a men's coach. I hired a men's coach. That, in fact, was, besides reading the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, which really opened my eyes to a lot of my own thinking, my own reactionary feelings, and my behavior. One of the second things that I did was I hired a men's coach. I recognized that there were some things that I didn't know that were getting in my way, and I wasn't sure how to address those. And if I was now aware of these things that were getting in my way, my question was, what else don't I know? And so I needed some help. I needed somebody to walk with me, to point to some resources. And that's what I do today as a men's coach. And this is not a plug. I'm just telling you how this process works. And the value of having a men's coach is that as a men's coach, I listen to the man. I listen to him more deeply than he probably has ever been listened to before. Certainly more deeply than his wife is listening to him now. And I listen, and I listen for understanding. I listen to hear what's going on with him, hear his pain, hear his perceptions, hear his story, hear where he is. And then I reflect those things back to him. You know, what I hear you saying is, and it's really the first time for him to hear himself, maybe ever, you know, and he doesn't have anyone in his life who can do this for him because his friends and his family, they all want him to be happy, and they're not going to have uncomfortable conversations with him and tell him uncomfortable truths and mirror back to him some of the things that he's saying. They're just going to want to support him and for him to be happy, but that's not always as helpful as it could be or should be or needs to be. And so yeah, I reflect back to the man. I also challenge him on his assumptions, his thoughts. You know, is that true? And get him to think about what's going on. And then the other thing that I do is I point to resources. I point to other stories, my story, books, videos, you know, ways of thinking that can help to broaden his perspective and open him up to different possibilities so that he can experience something different. And then as part of that, we just walk together. We just spend time together. We spend regular time together because this takes time. It takes time for transformation, for healing, for something different to grow. And so that's what we do together. Speaking of spending time together, spending time with men. I have my notes here down below the camera. I'm spending time with men. That was one of the most transformational things that I probably could have done. When I was hair on fire, and that's how I felt at the time. I just wanted to fix it. I wanted everything to be okay. I wanted to be okay. I've devoured everything that I could read, but I also kind of read through it. I was trying to get to the end of the book, hoping that somewhere along the way I would find that magic nugget that would make everything okay. And so, quite honestly, a lot of the stuff that I read, it helped me, but I also didn't absorb all of it. Right? It would be like if you just poured water onto a sponge. Some of it would go in, but a lot of it would run over the sides. And so, spending time with men really was most transformational, because when you spend time together, you have to slow down. You have to be in each other's presence. You're influenced by each other. And I don't care if that's online in a community like mentoring.men, or if that's going to a retreat and being face-to-face, or if that's just getting out of the house for a couple of hours on a Tuesday night to shoot pool or to go bowling or whatever. Just spending time with other guys who understand, right? The male human understands the male human much better than the female human understands the male human. And so being in the company of men. Now you really want, and I wanted, and I needed initiated men who have already been through this process, men who are able to have deep, open conversations, not conversations where he's just upset and angry and willing to throw her under the bus. Because when we throw her under the bus, it may be satisfying for the moment. We may feel vindicated and justified, but we don't really grow through that, right? We don't really take a look at ourselves and ask ourselves, how have we participated in this, and what are our values, and what do we want, and who do we want to be, and make choices from a place of clarity. So we need to do that by spending time with initiated men who are willing to have these deep, open, honest conversations where they can take a look at themselves and make decisions from a place of value-based judgment. And then the third thing that was hugely important was that I was fully committed to me. Sure, I wanted my relationship to work out. I wanted everything to go well. But I also understood that I needed something, right? If the relationship was going to end, right? If we were going to get a divorce, then I was just going to be on my own anyway. And so that meant that no matter what, whether we stayed together or we separated, got divorced, I needed to figure some things out for me. I didn't want the next 20 years to be like the last 20 years, and I was super clear on that. So I fully committed to me. I went all in. When I hired the men's coach, when I started being part of the community, I read, I watched videos, I showed up to my coaching calls with a list of questions that I had for the coach. I made sure that I showed up. I made sure that I showed up for me, because I knew that I was needing something. I was wanting something different. And so that was extremely important. And I see it all the time with guys that I work with. If they don't do the reading, if they don't go to the meetings, if they don't watch the videos, if they don't show up to a coaching call with questions and curiosity, then it's really hard for that transformation to take place, that growth that needs to happen in order for them to experience something different. So it's something that I encourage them all along the way. But they have to do the work, right? You have to do the work. I have to do the work. We have to do the work. Nobody's going to do this for us. Nobody's coming to save us. We have to show up for ourselves and do the work for ourselves. And part of that means being part of a community, spending time with men, possibly hiring a men's coach, depending on how assertive you want to be, how fast you want to move, and then being all in and fully committed to ourselves. That is hugely important. And quite honestly, whatever happens next after we show up for ourselves is beyond our control. Whether we get divorced or not, or whether she likes the new version of us, or whether she responds in any way is completely outside of our control. What's important is that we show up for ourselves over and over and over again. All right, brother, that's what I have to say in this video. I'm going to record another video about how long does this process take and when can you expect to see some sort of turnaround. So be sure to watch for that video. And if you haven't already watched the three things or the three reasons that your wife is stonewalling you video, then go ahead and go back and watch that. I think that'll be useful to you as well. It recaps some important concepts and important points in there. All right. Thanks for being here, brother. I love you. Talk to you soon.